Okay, so we are reading Bhagavad Gita. Last time we arrived at chapter 7, verse 23. And we were discussing about the various types of human beings, the various behaviors based on the gunas, you see. And according to, those whose knowledge is confused by a variety of desires, and let's see quickly. The four types of people who approach God, and the person who actually, the jnani, after many lifetimes, can actually realize Vishnu. Then those who want, have material desires, they try to, acquire things by approaching different devas, because the devas are personifications of the qualities and functions of God. So this is not condemned by Krishna. In fact, Krishna says that whatever form the devotee wishes to worship with faith, I strengthen the determination by which he will become established in that method and Ishta Devata. Then this is the best way to get the blessings and favors. Rather than going to politicians, usually this is better. But all this is arranged by me. The devas are not separate from God. 23. Persons of lesser intelligence seek temporary benefits. So, lesser intelligence means that they think they can become happy by getting something specific at the material level, but this is this is not possible. Real happiness is not found in material things. So it is important to understand that the persons of lesser intelligence seek temporary benefits. Krishna doesn't say that persons of lesser intelligence worship the devas. He says that people in Sattva Guna worship the devas. But people of lesser intelligence seek temporary benefits. So even those who seek temporary benefits from Krishna directly are classified as having a lesser intelligence. Because when we are pure devotees, we don't want to ask anything from anyone, including Krishna. We just want to serve Krishna. Okay. Devan deva jayo yanti mad bhakta yanti mam api. Those who worship the devas go to them, but my devotees come to me. Okay. This is because we are constantly thinking about the devas, or about Krishna, or about any form of God, and at the time of death we go where our meditation will take us. There is that verse Krishna is saying in Gita, Yad Yad Smarati. Let me get it, because I am getting a little older. So my memory, Smarati. I find it, Yad Smarati. I'm looking. Smarati. Let's see which. Autocorrect. Okay. We have in the Gita, yes. No, yet, a charity first us, it's not what I'm, okay, what I'm looking for. You remember that verse, Sudeep? Maybe not.
Yam Yam Vapi Smaran, that one or?
Ah, I think so, yes. Yes. That's, um, Smaran. Okay, and anyway, the idea, yes, chapter 8, verse 6. Yam yam vap yam yam, not yad yad. Yeah. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Yeah, that is the object, not the subject. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatante kalevram. Tam tam evaitikom teya sadatat bhava bhavitaha. Means that whatever we remember at the time of death, we will go there. So what we remember at the time of death is what we remember during our life. It's a matter of habit. So if we develop a habit, we develop a nature. So those who think about God, naturally, the time of death, they will think about God, so they will go to God. So verse 24 says, those who are not intelligent believe that the non-manifested has evolved by becoming manifest. They do not know my supreme existence as the highest imperishable reality. This is also very interesting because I had a study group on Bhagavad Gita in Italian language. They started, very convinced that the Bhagavad Gita is saying that the Nirguna Brahman is more advanced than the Saguna Brahman, so we need to give up the Saguna Brahman meditation to achieve the highest realization of Nirguna Brahman. It was funny because we were reading Gita and then we come to verses like this and they are like, what? Yeah. So, and the other verse that is quite famous is Brahmanohi Pratishtaham. Krishna says, I am the foundation, the origin of the Brahman. So people get a little confused because they have a material mentality. They see that in the material world things first are non-manifested and that they evolve by becoming manifested. Like, a child is born, before being born, he was not manifested. So from non-manifested, he got the opportunity to develop a body and then he was manifested. But this is the material idea, because non-manifested in the Brahman perspective, means that everything is already there. The Brahman already contains everything, it is omnipresent. A human child is not omnipresent before it becomes manifested. That's a big difference. Brahman is eternal and transcendental, omnipresent, and is everywhere, everything. So when the Brahman is manifesting, it's not an evolution, it's a function. The avatars of Vishnu exist eternally, only they're not manifested. Now, manifested means, like we were saying, like Krishna, when Krishna came in the Krishna Lila, manifested the Krishna Lila about 5,000 years ago. people were, everybody could actually see him. So he goes into Mathura, and the Bhagavad Purana is saying that everyone was seeing Krishna according to their own understanding and realization. So ordinary people would see Krishna as an ordinary boy. So this means that Krishna was actually visible, physically visible to everyone. The eyes of people could actually see him. But that is not a limitation. That is a manifestation that is performed for the benefit of the conditioned souls. Because God is never limited by time, space, and individuality. So when God is non-manifested, it's still there. It's not that it doesn't exist. I don't know if it's clear enough. It's a difficult thing to explain. Because there is this widespread idea that the Advaita philosophy is different from the Dvaita philosophy. But in fact, this is not, doesn't stand logically. Because when you say Advaita, means there is no duality. So there is no duality in a relationship with Dvaita. So the Advaita must include all of them. So Advaita is compatible with everything. And this is why Krishna in Bhagavad Gita so many times repeats that we have to overcome duality, Dvaita. Dvaita is not something we need to cling to. It's just the illusion of separation. Of course, there is a distinction between the functions of different forms and manifestations, but that is not separation, that is not duality. I hope it's clear. You want to say something about this?
No, as in, yeah, theoretically you can try to visualize, but since you are in duality, it's hard to conceive the non-duality. Like how they being different are still same. So, yeah, trying to understand.
Yeah, it's, like we often say, we can make the example of the body parts. There is no separation between the body parts, but each body part is individual in the sense of function. The nature is the same, the purpose is the same, the connection is one and the same, but the hand is doing a different work compared to the foot, compared to the mouth. They're not separated. So we cannot benefit the mouth to the detriment of the hands, or we cannot benefit the hands to the detriment of the mouth, or the entire body. So this is why we say it's not different. Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva means that it's difficult to conceive, it's difficult to understand, because we have the experience of being independent individual persons. If we are in the middle of the desert and we don't see anybody else, but we have a proper place, a proper environment, food, water, and whatever, we are not feeling bad because we are not in contact with other people. But at the spiritual level, it's much more connected. In fact, we are all Brahman. We are all connected. If we become disconnected because of our, desire for separation and independence, we lose life. You know, we become dark. We slide into tamas. You know, like a fire. If the spark of the fire is inside the fire, it will keep burning. It will keep making light. If the spark, the small piece of coal, burning coal, becomes separated from the fire, it becomes extinguished. It becomes dark. You cut your hand off from your body, it's not a hand anymore. It's a piece of meat and bones that is rotting. You cannot keep it and expect a severed hand to do the same work as a living hand. So this is why we say that both the personal and impersonal aspects of God are totally compatible, complementary. There's no difference. They're distinct, but they're not separated. So in the same way, those who are not intelligent believe that the non-manifested has evolved by becoming manifest. They do not know my supreme nature as the highest imperishable reality. Why God is called the Supreme Being? Because it's the sum total of existence. How can we become separated from existence? That is what is inconceivable. When we become separated from existence, we don't exist anymore. So there is no no point. Okay, so we have 25. It says, I do not show myself to everyone, but I remain veiled by my own yoga maya. Foolish people remain unable to understand that I am unborn and eternal. So this is explaining. You see the avatar after its appearance and before the disappearance. But in fact, the avatar is never born. It's just manifesting to our eyes, by a deliberate, conscious action, choice. The avatar is showing himself to our material eyes. But in fact, the body of the avatar is made of pure consciousness. It can manifest and not manifest any time. It can take any form. It can multiply. Like we see, we are still in the Rasa Lila period, in Vrindavan. Bhagavad Purana is saying that Krishna took as many forms as were the gopis, and was dancing and interacting individually with each gopi in such a way that each gopi was thinking Krishna is only dancing with me. Krishna is only giving attention to me. And still, how many gopis were there? So this is possible only through consciousness. Consciousness can manifest in a number of bodies, not just the gross physical body that we are carrying around. And this is possible even for ordinary jivas, human beings who acquire the yoga siddhis. They can manifest, I think, up to 8 bodies of themselves. We even have people who have these siddhis by birth. Patanjali in his Yoga Sutra is saying that the siddhis can be acquired by birth, in the sense that in our previous lifetimes we have developed these siddhis, so when we take birth again, we already have those siddhis. So, for example, we have seen in history cases of people, not Hindus, not yogis, but, we could say ordinary people, who manifested yoga siddhis, just like bilocation. So we're seen by people in two places simultaneously. Or they could materialize things. They could levitate, like, fly without without weight. That is called like unity. So these are all things that are definitely possible, but only through consciousness. This is why it's a nature. It's called nature. The nature of God is consciousness. The nature of Brahman is consciousness. Sat, Chit, Ananda. So the Atman is also Sat, Chit, Ananda. Only it is very small. It's a part of the of God, not the a separate, independent God. Part of God. Okay. Any elaboration? Any comment here? No.
So here the term mentioned is Yogamaya. Shouldn't it be Mahamaya?
No, not necessarily, because Yoga Maya is also veiling the realization of God to a devotee. For example, Yashoda sees Krishna as her child, not as God. So we know because the Damodara Vrata, the Kartika Vrata, is also called Damodara Vrata because it remembers the episode when Mother Yashoda got angry because Krishna had made a mess with the butter and the milk and everything, So she got angry, and because she considered Krishna as her child, she wanted to give him a lesson. She wanted to tie him up. Dama, Udara. Tying the abdomen, the belly. So she tried, and she said, okay, now I'll tie you up, so you're not going to do any more mischief. So she was going around looking for a rope, and whatever rope she had in the house, it was always short. She added so many pieces of rope, and still the rope was short. And she was getting confused because, a small child, how old it could be, 3 years old, 2, 3 years old, how much rope do you need? You need maybe 2 feet, 3 feet of rope, not more, And still, all the ropes that she had in the house were not sufficient. And this is why Krishna is called Damodar. Because at the end, Krishna was so moved by the confusion and, concern of Yashoda that he allowed himself to be tied up. But it is said, it's very clear, in Bhakti tradition, it is very clear that God can only be bound by love and affection. Yashoda wanted to bind Krishna out of affection only because she wanted to give a good training to her child, to show that you don't do these things. If you make a mess, I will have to tie you up. So that was a form of affection. And that's why Krishna allowed himself to be tied up by Yashoda. So we have this, Damodarashtaka. I don't remember who wrote the Damodarashtaka. But anyway, so this is the Damodara Vrata.
But again, the term here used is like, this seems to be explanation for those who are in material illusions, the foolish people. So shouldn't like, this was meant for the materialist, as in?
Well, foolish people remain unable to understand that I am born or and eternal. Foolish, let's see. Buddha. Well, someone can be foolish even in love, but that is not what usually happens, because the Shastras keep repeating, that in the Bhagavata Purana, when we read in the 10th canto, we read all this Krishna Lila, and the Bhagavad keep repeating that God, Krishna is God. Krishna is a Paramatma. Krishna is showing the Viratupa in his mouth to Yashoda. And Krishna is showing so many, lifting the Govardhan hill. So it's not that we can consider that these intimate devotees of Krishna, these Vrajavasis, were foolish people. But it's Yoga Maya, and they feel foolish. They feel confused. But Krishna wants them to be confused, not because they will suffer, but because he tastes, he's tasting the love that is coming from them. It's like, we can use the word foolish to describe, you have children, right? So, especially little girls, they like to play imitating the adults, like serving tea, So, you're playing with your daughter, and your daughter say, "Daddy, here's some tea. Come and sit. We are having tea." And she gives you an empty cup. Of course, because she's not making tea really. And she's giving an empty, little plate and say, "Here is the biscuits." It's foolish in a sense. We can say the children are foolish because they want to pretend, they want to imagine the fantasy. Fantasy is foolish, basically, as a definition. But it has a special quality of fun if it's done with love. If you go to your neighbor invites you for tea, and you're sitting down and everything, then he gives you an empty cup and an empty place and says, this is the tea, this is the biscuit, the cake, whatever. What will you think? He's stupid, it's foolish. Or how you expect me to play along, and this is an empty cup, there is no tea, where's the tea? Right? Because he's a person who doesn't have any love for you. He's not playing. This is why the activities of the avatars are called lila, because they're playing. But the foolish playing, in the case of the divine lila, is actually very happy, because it's based on love. You understand the difference?
Yeah.
Sin is foolish. Yoga Maya Samavita. Yoga Maya, Krishna is saying Yoga Maya, it's not saying Mahamaya. The only explanation that I believe is valid is this idea of lila through love. Without Yoga Maya, we cannot have bhakti. Yoga Maya is bhakti. Without Yoga Maya, how can we have a personal loving relationship with God if we actually remember, we are aware of what is God? We'll be terrified. We will be totally unable, how do you offer Naivedyam to someone who is omnipresent? God is also inside the food. So you're offering food to the food? Well, what? It doesn't make sense. Do you understand how it goes? So the bhakti and the relation, the bhakti manifestation, everything is due to Yogamaya. Yogamaya is Shakti. Without Yogamaya, God doesn't have any form, name, activities, qualities, nothing. So Yogamaya is the manifestation. It's illusion, because as we said, God is always there. Just the previous verse, Krishna was saying that I am born and eternal. So why we celebrate Janmashtami? We celebrate Janmashtami due to Yogamaya's blessing, grace, because Krishna actually appeared as a child through his Maya, his own Maya, his Yoga Maya. The verse there, Yada Yada Hidamasya Ranirbhati Bharata Haritana Madharasa Tadatmanam Srijamyaham. He is manifesting himself through the Maya, through Yoga Maya. So, Paritamasa Vinashachadusam Dharma Samsabhanata Sambhavami Yuge is becoming, appearing. This appearance has a beginning and an end. So it's subject to time. And what is time? Time is Yogamaya. Krishna shows his own form as a time, Kala's me. I am Kala, I am time. But we know that the personification of time is Kali, is Maya, is a Shakti. Because Shakti is the one who gives the form. A form that is visible to Maya. If it was not for Yoga Maya, Vishnu would not manifest as an avatar, would not be visible. So Yogamaya is veiling, God, and is unveiling God. So it's someone who veils something can also unveil it. This is why, when people are asking me what sampradaya I'm following, I tell them that I'm a Yoga Mayavadi. Because Yoga Maya is the actual Shakti. Without Yoga Maya, we cannot have Bhakti. I don't know, is that clear enough? So, foolish people, we can also be foolish people. We are foolish people. We are all foolish people. Only some people are, under the influence of Yoga Maya, and other people are under the influence of Ahankara. Ahankara vimudhatma, kartahamiti manyate. That's also vimudha. But it's worse than this illusion. It's not bad to, in a sense, foolishly immerse oneself in cosplay. They call it cosplay, costume play. So you have, especially in the West, in some places, you have people who dress up, I don't know, as Vikings, as Middle Ages people, as whatever, and they go on one place and they pretend they are Middle Ages people, people from, 1,000 years ago. Okay, it's a bit foolish, but it's fun because you know that it's a lila, it's a play. You know, like actors in a theater play. You know, they they put wigs and costumes and makeup and all this stuff. You know, that's a bit foolish, because if you go out in the public, where you go to you know, office or whatever, you know, serious place, in a theater costume, people will laugh at you because it looks foolish, right? But you're having fun. You're having fun. So that's a lila, you know. Of course, we participate to the greatest lila, that is God's lila, which is, you know, perfectly, you know, wise, even if it looks foolish sometimes. Yeah. Because we don't feel diminished, because we don't have false ego. We don't have a hankara, so we don't really feel foolish. We don't identify as fools, you know. We just act foolish because we are playing, you know. It's good. It's nice. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Shall I go on?
Yes.
Okay. And 26. O Arjuna, I have full knowledge of the past, the present, and the future. I know all existences or living beings, but nobody knows me because God is unlimited. You know, we know something, but we cannot know everything. So God is unlimited, so we cannot know God completely. You know, because as we realize something already, there is something else to realize. So it's something more. It's how to say, fascinating. That is why Krishna is called Krishna. Krishna means karshati, to attract, you know, to fascinate, to attract. So that's the idea. There is no limit. When we say unlimited, you know, it's wow. It surpasses our capacity of realization. And still what we can realize is so much. You know. Anyway. Okay, so this means that, you know, in Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavad, you know, there is a full knowledge of past, present, and future. Now, the past is past, so it cannot be undone. The present is going on. The future, we cannot know the future because there is more than one future possible. But God has all the futures lined up, all the possible futures. So, unlike us, God is not limited by linearity. Okay. Okay. Yeah, they're very complex meanings, you know, deep meanings in these verses. It's not easy, but you know, we are drinking whatever we can drink. Okay, 27. Oparantapa, descendant of Bharat, means Arjuna. All living beings come to existence, take birth, totally confused, deluded by the duality created from likes and dislikes. You know, here Krishna is talking about conditioned souls, those who have to take birth, because they are identified with the body. So they have attachments, they have identifications, which also change, but the basis of attachment and identification is always there in conditioned existence, when you take birth in conditioned life. And we have all the commentary, blah, 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 blah. And then we have 26. Those who have put an end to all bad activities have accumulated pious activities and are completely liberated from the delusions of duality and firm in their determination. Worship me. This is a very important verse. Yesham tvam tagatam papam jananam punya karmanam tvedvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam gritaha. And this is a verse to use to quote to those who quote the verses, that seem to justify bad activities, criminal activities, because we identify as devotees of Krishna. So like apichet sudracharo, apichet asipapabhya sarvabhya papakritta, apichet sudracharo bhajate mamananya bhak, and so on. So it's it means, apichet sudracharo means that even if someone has a bad behavior, he can become a devotee. He's considered a sadhu because he wants to give up the bad activities. Not that he thinks he can continue to do any bad activity because he is transcendental and he can do whatever he wants. Because he's, considering himself as a devotee. This is an important verse. Yesham tvanta gatam papam. Bas, finished. Gatam. Reach the end. Anta gatam. If someone keeps, doing bad things, it's not really worshipping Krishna. He's worshipping an idea, his fantasy projection or whatever, and he has, glued the face of Krishna on that fantasy. But he's not a devotee of Krishna. He's deluded. Because until and unless we have put an end, we have reached the end of all the bad qualities, bad activities, papam. Papam are the wrongful actions, It's not exactly a bad habit. Papam is something that is bad, and you do it because you want to do it. You actually choose to do something bad for some selfish reason. That is pap. And this is not compatible with the worship of God. So could be a lot to say about this. Anyway, 29. Those they take shelter in me, endeavoring to attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death, and they come to know that Brahman is the sum total of all transcendence, all existence. Therefore, they completely understand the science of action, for they know everything about transcendence, as well about the social or religious duties to be performed. Let's see the Sanskrit. Jara Marana Mokshaya Mam Ashritya Yatam Ye Yatanti Ye Te Brahma Tat Vidu Kritsnam Adhyatman Karma Cha Akhilam. So, the transcendence here is described by the terms Brahma and Adhyatman. So, and karma, the dutiful action, they completely understand that God, the Jiva, as Atman and the karma. So it's a very very complex verse. The verse is very short, but you know, to actually unpack it, it takes many more words. I don't know. Is this verse clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Any elaboration here?
No,
Okay,
that should be okay.
we go on. 30. They know me, and simultaneously they know the principle of material manifestation, the principle of the archetypes governing it, and the principle of sacred action. Thus, they will also know me at the time of their death, because their consciousness is connected with me. So, sa adibhuta adidhaivam adiyagyam. So, the adibhuta is the material world, the material manifestations. Adibhuta, all the beings. Okay? All the existences, material existences, material beings, material bodies, everything. Adhidaimam is the principle of divinity and is specifically inside the material world. It is represented by the devas governing the universe. So this is why I call them archetypes. The principle of the archetypes, because the devas are archetypal, ontological personifications. Like Surya is the archetype of the sun. Agni is the archetype of the fire. All these concepts are called archetypes because they are fundamental concepts that are always existing in material manifestation. Every human being is automatically aware of the meaning of these archetypes. In any language, in any culture, you draw a sun, you make a drawing of the sun, everyone will understand. Everybody knows what the sun is. The sun is light, the sun is heat, the sun appears to be round, and moves in a certain way. This is archetypal knowledge. You don't need to be taught about things like that. Okay? So, and the principle of sacred action is adhyaya. It's also a principle, it's archetypal principle, because you go in any human society, all human beings have rituals, have sacred actions, sacred concepts, sacred places, sacred, whatever. That is also something that is archetypal. You don't need to have a religion specifically to be trained in any religion to do that. If you don't have proper knowledge, you will develop your own superstitions. So if you have a ritual, for example, someone who might be a little concerned. There is a ritual to go to bed. They will lock the door, switch off the lights, and if they go to sleep without doing all these rituals, they will not feel good. Because the concept of ritual is a sacred action. It means an action that must be done. Must be done, must be respected, but it must be followed so that we get some kind of happiness, blessing, benefit, auspiciousness, good fortune, whatever. So this is the idea. Thus, they will also know me at the time of their death, because their consciousness is connected. Because we know that the principle of material manifestation is coming from the Brahman. The archetypes are parts of the Brahman, are parts of God, and the sacred action is meant for God and is God Himself. Yagya is one of the names of Vishnu, right? So, in this way, we are always conscious of God. Being always conscious of God during our life, we will also be conscious of God at the time of death, and that will automatically help us to enter that consciousness, to attain God in that sense. Okay, everything clear?
Yeah.
One more verse? One more. Oh, finished. Okay, then we start next time, chapter 8.
Can you elaborate on this archetype? Like I have some
Yes.
understanding, but
Okay,
what is archetype?
archetype is a word that has become quite popular in psychology, and was used extensively by one of the early psychology researchers. Maybe you heard about him, Carl Gustav Jung. Jung was very interested in psychology, and he made a lot of progress in the study of psychology in the Western academic world, that has taken psychology into the medical field as a science. So he was talking, for example, of a collective mind, collective subconscious, and he was talking about the archetypes that he had found in ancient cultures, and especially in the Hindu culture. So the word archetype, archemi in Greek, it's ancient Greek. Arche means ancient, old, and type means, type, manifestation, object, thing that exists. So these archetypes are the fundamental concepts that are in the mind of all human beings. It's like the mental DNA, if we if we will. For example, the archetypes described by Jung are the mother, the father, the warrior, the king, the priest, the madman, the death, birth, evil, good. All these can be personified. And these were studied also in ancient cultures that we, in general global, academic culture, they called mysteric cults, which nobody knows very much about mysteric cults, because they were a bit like Tantra. They were going through initiation only. And when Christianity took over in Europe, all the people who were initiated to these European tantras were all killed. All of them. The temples were destroyed, the universities were destroyed, the libraries were destroyed, and even talking about these things could land you a death sentence. And especially it happened around the year 500 with Theodosius. So basically from the year 400, 350, 400 to the year 600, 700, all the ancient European cultures were destroyed. Theodosius invented the concentration camps, the killing camps. All the pagans that didn't want to convert to Christianity were rounded up and sent to the concentration camps to be killed. So, because this knowledge of the mysteric cults was transmitted through initiation, if you killed all the gurus and all the disciples, it's gone. And the books, almost all practically all disappeared. And even the objects that were, the symbols that were used in this tradition were destroyed. Or, very rarely kept in some museums, but without any explanation. So it has been very difficult to reconstruct this knowledge, and this is why I think it was Sitaram Goel, who was saying, that studying Hinduism could help, Western people to reconstruct their own ancient culture, because there is so much that Hinduism has still carried on that was destroyed in the West. And something survived underground. And it was preserved through very secret societies and very secret means. Have you heard about the tarots?
Yeah.
Okay.
The card readers, right?
Yes, exactly. Have you seen the tarots?
No.
Okay. So if you go and see, you just do a bit of Googling, Google internet surfing, and you look tarots, you go to the pictures, search for pictures, tarot pictures, you see that they have pictures, each tarot card is a personification of an archetype. So it's very interesting, because this was one of the very poor ways by which this knowledge was somehow made to survive. Another way in which this knowledge was somehow survived was alchemy. The alchemic tradition, the secret traditions in the Mediterranean, especially, were kept by the Jews that were not killed, even if they didn't convert to Christianity, because they were considered to be like people of the book. So the Jews kept quiet and kept some of this alchemic knowledge, Kabbalistic knowledge. So archetypes basically means these symbolic expressions, symbolic figures that have a universal value, even if we are not told what it is. We can immediately understand it. Like death. Death is an archetype. If you draw a skull and a couple of bones, everybody will understand. It doesn't take, language skills or cultural skills. Everybody immediately understand, because it's an archetype. Is that clearer?
Yeah.
So I'm usually applying the definition to the devas who manage the material universe, because they're actually, uh, you know, eternal, universal, and not limited to individuality. This has been very useful in psychology when Jung introduced the concept, because, for example, we are all assimilating what archetypal figures tell us. For example, the mother. The mother is the greatest archetype of all. So, if our biological mother was abusive and was constantly putting us down, or, you know, insulting us, demeaning us, or, you know, mistreating us in any way, even after that person is out of the picture, might be dead, might be, you know, we refuse to have anything to do with that person, still, inside our mind, there is a part of our sub-personality that is the mother. And it keeps telling us the same things that the biological mother was saying. And we need to become aware of this and get rid of it, because it can make lots of damage. Lots of damage. So in psychology, it's a very important point, the archetype. Okay. Anything else on this subject?
No.
Not for now.
That clarifies.
Not for now. Okay, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity of, talking about the Gita. So next time, chapter 8. Huh? Jai. Jai Jagannath. Thank you.
Jai Jagan. Thank you. Thank you for